Hi, I'm Dina. This is Creative Minds Homeschool, and today I'm sharing with you the Homemaker's Tag by Elizabeth over at Beautiful Journey, and I'll put a link to her channel down below. And it's just asking 6 questions about being a homemaker. So here I go. Number 1, have you always wanted to be a homemaker? From my earliest memory, yes. More specifically, I wanted to be a mama. But I think somehow I was raised by a mom who worked all the time, and she had no choice in that. I'm sure she would have loved to have been a homemaker if she would have had the choice. She just didn't. So I think I always knew that I wanted to be home with my kids. Number 2, did your husband want you to be a homemaker? He was raised by a homemaker, so he was definitely used to having a homemaker at home, like I guess you could say. But of the ones of his family, he's the most like, if I was like, honey, I want to go earn some money, he'd be like, you go girl. So it wouldn't hurt his feelings either way, but he's very supportive of me being home. He definitely, I think, likes the benefits of me being here. But if tomorrow I said, let's pop the kids all in school and daycare and I'm gonna go earn a bunch of money, he'd be like, all right. At least I think he would. He probably wouldn't when it came down to it, but of the two of us, definitely he would be more the one to be like, go for it. Number 3, why do you think homemaking is important? For me, a huge part of homemaking is the motherhood side of it. You know, like I always think about, like, if I did go to work, like say I didn't have kids and I was just a full-time employee. I've done that for years in my past. That, I think your house gets less messy when you're not home to mess it up. So I think that my homemaking job is important because we're home all the time and somebody's got to keep the house in order or it's going to fall apart all around us. Let mama take one day off of laundry and it's like everything in the house is dirty. It's amazing. So I think it's important. You have to have someone keeping things going, keeping it clean, keeping it together, you know. Like I said, let mama get sick, let mama take a moment off, and this house gets filthy. It's just like mind-boggling how that happens. I don't know. It's like a punishment for taking a moment off. I don't know what it is. How do you think your family would handle you going back to work? Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I think if I went back to work, it would greatly affect, I've had mood issues lately just because I recently had a baby. I think going back to work would be very much harder emotionally to have to leave my children at all. I think I would have a really hard time. So, how would they handle it? I think we'd all have a hard time. I know how tired I am right now. I think I would be way much more tired if I was trying to run kids around to school, trying to pick up baby from a daycare, trying to keep the house in order, all that stuff. I think it would be hard on everybody. Really hard. I think it would be just such a game changer. It's hard to even wrap my mind around it. So I'm sure it would be a big adjustment, put it that way. What are things you've had to give up because you decided to stay home? Well, I gave up my income, but I'm not paying for daycare, and I never have. So, you know, I would be working really hard to put my kids in someone else's care. So, but I did give up my income. I gave up a big circle of friends. You know how, when you work, you have friends that you're with other people, you're with adults, which I did work in a school system, so I was with kids a lot too. But I could at least, if I needed to see an adult face or have an adult conversation, I could find somebody around, like in the teacher's lounge, and have a brief, hey, how are you? Like on an adult level. So I would say I'm still friends with a lot of my friends from school on Facebook, but those are Facebook friends. It's not like people who are in your circle. That said, I have gained several homeschool friends, so it's just a balance. Whatever you give up for the sake of being a mom, to me, you gain so much. It's hard to remember ever not having children and doing the things that we do, or even at this point, not homeschooling. It's been several years of homeschooling, so it's all good. Let's see. Any advice for someone who wants to stay home? Lots of advice. Basically, the way my husband and I approached it was this. From day one, I told him, when I have children, I want to be home with my children. I never want to be a full-time working person when I have children in my care. I just did not want to do that. And I felt very strongly about that, and I told him about that, and was just like, whatever we have to do, whatever sacrifices we have to make, I want to be able to be home with my kids. So we kind of planned for that on the early end. We both have 2 college degrees between the 2 of us. We got out of school with no debt. That involved us both working very hard to not have debt. As far as, like, I lived with my mom until I got married. We didn't blow money a lot. We saved money as much as we could. There were years where we weren't saving much, but we weren't, we adjusted our lifestyle to what we wanted down the road. And even when we both had 2 incomes after we were out of college, we were actively saving. We were paying on our house to try, we basically lived debt-free besides a mortgage. Bought our vehicles cash. So anything you can do to earn money on the early end, because once you stay home, unless you have set up a way to make income at home, you're on one income. So that's just how we did it. We approached it as incurring a bunch of debt and being very frugal and wise with your money. Learn the beauty of not having instant gratification. There are several things in our house still. Like, we have an upstairs that's not very furnished, and that's okay. We're waiting, and we will keep waiting until the time is right. And it could be 10 years from now, we might not have this upstairs very furnished besides what's up here already. We're okay with that. We've had our same bedroom set that was given to us by my in-laws since a few years after we got married, and it was hand-me-down, and we will keep that sucker until it falls apart. And at that point, we might go make an investment in a new bedroom suite, but it's just kind of hasn't been the priority to spend the money there. Currently, we're saving for vehicles because we have vehicles that are probably about 10 years old now. And they were bought right around the same time. So we know there's a chunk of change about to have to come out. And, so we're saving toward that, where we could go plunk down a chunk of change and have a new bedroom suit, but we have one and we're just saving money. So, like, delayed gratification. You don't need everything your little eyeballs lay eyes on. And, if you want to be able to be home, I guess my other advice would be understand that it is a sacrifice. It's very rewarding. It's very wonderful, but it does come at a price, and, like we have friends that are doing all the big, huge vacations every year, and you see them doing all these things, and it looks great. And I just know for us to be able to do that kind of thing, we would have to either budget for it, which we're not good at budgeting, or be in debt, and we don't do debt. So we give up the ability to go do some big lavish trips and stuff. Just keep in mind, if you want to do those things, you have to plan for it on the early end, and be prepared to give up some things in order to have the more important things. That's my advice. Whether or not that made sense, I have no idea. Okay. I don't know who to tag on this one, so I'm just going to open it up and say, if you haven't done this tag yet and you're interested in talking about homemaking, jump in and go for it. But anyway, those are my 2 cents on homemaking. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to show it some love and subscribe if you haven't and you want to. Go for it. And it sounds like my baby's waking up. Nap time is over and back to mom life as I know it. So I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.